Paying off your rental property is the wrong move for maximizing cash flow. Yes, you heard me correct. Paid off real estate does not equal maximum cash flow. We're gonna go through a real life scenario today to compare the pros and cons of paying off rental properties to maximize cash flow. So from a recent video I did, someone commented, "Hey Chris, I just watched your YouTube video. Don't do a 1031 exchange in 2024. You gave me some new ideas to think about. I own 2 duplexes that can sell for about $1.2 million. I'm torn between doing a 1031 exchange and not paying taxes, or just cashing out and paying off my 4 other single family rentals. I'm 71 years old and I want to maximize my retirement income. I also have 2 paid off single family rentals as well. So Chris, what should I do?" Well, that's what we're going to answer in today's video. Hey, my name is Chris Lopez, and I'll welcome you back to another Should I Keep It, Refi, or Sell My Rental Properties show. So I specialize in helping people understand their portfolio so they can identify opportunities and then make the correct moves in their portfolio. So let's jump into this investor's portfolio and get this show on the road. So right now we're looking at his current portfolio, and I have put his rental properties into 3 main buckets. So the first bucket is the 2 duplexes that are worth about $1.2 million that he's thinking about selling. The second is the 4 single family rental properties with mortgages on them. And the third bucket is the 2 paid off single family rentals. So I'm doing this so I don't get bogged down into specific rental property details, because I want to keep this at a more strategic, high level point of view. Now, before we dive into more numbers on here, I need to tell you about the tool that I'm using to analyze it. This video is sponsored by Property Llama software. Now, this is software I help co-create. Why? Because I need a better way, a better tool to go out there and analyze rental properties. So beyond getting current numbers of performance, the powerhouse is we can run scenarios of what if I did a cash out refi? What if I did a 1031 exchange? And the software can model it for you and give you side-by-side comparisons to help you understand, hey, if I did this, here's how the numbers look today, and we can forecast it out for years to come. So go to propertyllama.com/BP to go create your free account so you can upload your rental properties, get a free analysis, and see what potential you have in your portfolio. So let's get on with the show and jump into this portfolio here. His current portfolio is worth about $4.25 million with about $3.3 million in net worth. Now that means he is at about a 22% loan to value. So this is what a lot of portfolios look like. So they bought the properties over the last 5, 10, 20 years, and between paying them off and market appreciation, they have lots of equity and often a low loan to value. It's currently cash flowing about $80,000 a year. Now the NOI, or net operating income, is about $152,000 a year. And I like to reference this because this is to say if all the properties were paid off with no mortgage, here's how much cash flow you would have. So if he paid off all these properties, he would about double his cash flow. The last 2 things I like to look at is the average current cap rate. So this kind of shows the current performance of the rental properties at about a 3.6% cap rate. If you know cap rates, you know that's not a good number. If you don't know cap rates, I'm telling you, this is not a great cash flowing rental portfolio. And the last thing is the return on equity. And this is my absolute most favorite metric to look at. So many people say, hey, I invested X. Yes, you did 5 or 10 years ago, but now it's all about how hard is your equity working for you, because every dollar of equity in your rental property has an opportunity cost to it. So let's measure it. So this portfolio is making about 6.5%. So that's saying on the $3.3 million in equity, it's generating about a 6.5% expected return over next year between property appreciation, debt pay down, cash flow, and the depreciation tax benefits. So that is where we're at. Now, before I jump into scenarios, I just want to come back and revisit the goal. The magic isn't just in numbers, but it's making sure that the goal of the investor aligns with where the portfolio is headed. So to reiterate his goal, he is 71, retired, and wants to maximize retirement income. So maximize income and simplify life. So scenario one, we are going to come in here and sell the duplexes and do a 1031 exchange. So I'm gonna come to the software here and we are going to model selling these duplexes and doing a 1031 exchange. Now I'm going to assume that the new debt's at 8%. He'll be buying 6% cap rate properties, so better rental properties with a 50% down payment because he wants to maximize cash flow. Plus, he's in the later season of his investing career. So we're going to launch this scenario and do a side-by-side comparison. So I'm going to jump down here to the side-by-side card. The left is the current portfolio. The right-hand side is option one of selling and 1031ing. So the return on equity is going to increase from about 6.5% to about 7.2%. Well, that's a 3/4 of a point increase. That's a marginal increase in your portfolio, so not going to make a huge difference. But also, his goal is income, not growth. Return equity is usually more of a growth metric versus income. He wants cash flow. So let's jump down to cash flow and focus on there. The cash flow will increase from about $80,000 to about $87,000. So about a $7,000 increase, or about maybe about 5% overall increase in cash flow. Now, $7,000 is not going to usually make or break someone's, current retirement income. I like to stop and look at this: selling two properties, executing a 1031 exchange, and then buying a new rental property. Is that worth the headache, the time, and the new risk for an extra $7,000 a year? Most likely it's not. He's retiring, wants to maximize cash flow and also simplify things. So this is not a good option. So let's talk about option number two: sell the duplexes, pay the loans, pay capital gains, and then go pay off the debt or the mortgages on the 4 single-family rentals. So let's say we can sell both duplexes for $1.2 million. We're going to subtract out 6% in commissions and closing costs, about $30,000 for some inspection issues, and then $246,000 for the loan. That leaves us with about $850,000 in proceeds. Now, we have not factored in taxes yet. We're not doing a 1031 exchange, so we do have to talk about taxes. So I'm going to run you through some numbers, but always go out there and make sure you talk with your tax professional to make sure you're getting the right information. So on here, I would ballpark about $150,000 in taxes. So $851,000 minus $150 in taxes is about $700,000 in proceeds. And just to be clear, what we're doing is we're taking that $700,000 in proceeds and paying off the loan balance of about $687,000 on those 4 single-family rentals. So I've already built out this model here. And again, the left side is the current as-is portfolio. The right side is the new scenario. So that return on equity is going to decrease by about 3/4 of a point, so about 6.5 to 5.7. Again, not a big deal, nor is that big enough to make any difference. Now, the total value of the portfolio is going to decrease from about 4.2 million to about 3 million. We are selling assets to pay off debt on other ones. So we are simplifying, but it's also reducing our total asset value. Now, most importantly, what does it do to the cash flow? Cash flow is increasing from about $80,000 to about $25,000 in cash flow. It's about $105,000 a year. So now that is a much bigger increase than scenario one. That is the direction we like to see. Now, a couple things to really talk about here. First off, is $105,000 in rental cash flow acceptable to this investor? I don't know. I don't know his other financial picture. That's something for him to decide on. The second thing to talk about is every property we have is paid off. So there's going to be no big future bumps in cash flow when we pay off a mortgage. We'll have marginal increases every year as rents increase. So it's a very important thing to say, hey, am I good with where we're at now, or do I need more cash flow in the future? So let's talk about scenario number 3 here, where we sell the duplexes, but we don't take the money to pay off the other debt, and we invest for maximum cash flow. Now, at the beginning of the episode, I said paying off rental properties is the wrong move for maximizing cash flow. So let's dive into this topic here. So what I have on the left-hand side here are the 4 single-family homes with mortgages And the card on the right is the 4 single-family homes with paid-off mortgages. And I want to dive into the numbers here. When we invest in real estate, there's really 4 ways we make money: appreciation, debt pay down, cash flow, and depreciation. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to remove the other 3 ways and just have it focus on cash flow. So this will give us a better apples to apples comparison on where we are from a cash flow perspective. So you can see here with the mortgages, we're cash flowing about $23,000 a year. Now, once it's paid off, we're cash flowing about $72,000 a year. So $50,000 is a lot more in cash flow. So when you look at that, that is a big improvement. This is what blew my mind years ago. What's your cash flow on equity? What's that number like? So what we're going to do is I'm changing it from raw dollars amount to percent dollars. And what we're doing is we're taking the cash flow of $23,000 and we're dividing that by the equity of $1.4 million. Same thing over here, $71,000 divided by $2.1 million. So now we are respectively 1.6% cash flow on equity or a 3.4% cash flow on equity. Years ago, I had a mentor stop and show me this, and it took me a while to wrap my head around it. Because he'd ask, hey, can you go out there and get a better cash flow than 1% or 3.4%? A couple of years ago, it was harder. Well, now it's really easy. My online savings account right now pays 4.2%. So this is where we have to look at from a pure financial standpoint. Is a paid off rental property the best vehicle for maximizing income or cash flow? And from a pure financial numbers aspect, it is not. Now, another way to look at this is, great, we have these properties, so we already kind of have that sunk cost in there. Now, let's say you don't have the properties, but you have $2.1 million right now sitting in your bank account. Would you go out there and buy real estate with no mortgage? You probably wouldn't, because it's not great numbers today. So if you want to buy it today, should you hold on to the properties? So again, I am challenging your belief system here. I am challenging what so much in real estate investing has told us for the years: buy a property and eventually pay it off. I'm not saying it's a bad move. I'm just saying it's the wrong move for maximizing cash flow. Because when we take a step back, you have opportunity costs with that equity. So let's jump back into scenario 3 here to sell the duplexes and invest for maximum cash flow. So we're going to sell these 2 duplexes here. And once we sell them, pay taxes and commissions, all that stuff, about $700,000. So I point out a problem. Paid off rentals are not the best cash flowing vehicles. Great, Chris, but give me a solution. Here's a solution so many investors are doing. So we're going to keep the 4 single family homes with mortgages. We're not going to pay those off. We're going to keep the 2 paid off single family rentals, but we're going to take the $700,000 in proceeds and invest them into a private credit fund. Now, this is where you are more on the bank side or the lending side. And I see a lot of market opportunity here for better cash flow or for better income. So what is going on here is you are investing to someone that needs a fix and flip loan, or someone that needs to go out there and needs a bridge loan, or they need some type of lending product that traditional lending does not provide for them. Over the years, a lot of people have been lending money to other investors, but you can lend it to a fund and not deal with the details of underwriting and taking exposure to specific properties. So I love this play because we can get that double-digit cash on cash returns and have some liquidity in the portfolio as well. So to put this back to stocks and bonds, we all know you own some stocks, own some bonds, or that's the typical recommendation out there. Well, rental properties are like the stocks, that's the equity and the growth. And then the income or the lender side is like the bonds in your stock portfolio. So we're going to take $700,000 and invest this into a private credit money fund, or multiple ones now, about a 10% annual cash on cash return. To do a side-by-side comparison, the current portfolio is going to go from a 6.5 to a 7.2% return equity. Again, don't really care about that. We care about cash flow. Our cash will go from $81,000 to about $126,000. Well, so far, this is the highest cash flow we're getting. So we're simplifying the portfolio by getting rid of some rentals and not buying more rentals, and we have more cash flow today. Now, secondly, that NOI is $175,000 because we'll still get future cash flow bumps as those other single family rentals start getting paid off. All right, so I just threw a lot of numbers at you and probably some new concepts. Now I want to come back and revisit the investor's goals here. I am retired and I want to maximize my retirement income. So we are misaligned here. He says main goal is to maximize his retirement income. If that's the case, he should sell his duplexes. Heck, if that's the case, he should sell all the rentals and invest all the money in bonds and private credit funds to go out there and maximize cash flow. Now, the reality is most people won't do that, but that is the financial logic on there. So this is where if you're going through pure logic, pure spreadsheet mode, it would say sell everything, invest here. We have to balance it out with what the investor's goals and comfort zone are. So one of these has to adjust. And for a lot of investors, they end up adjusting, or I should say clarifying their goals. I want to go out there and maximize my return income while maintaining my trophy rental properties, selling the headaches, and investing in a better asset class. I've done that, and many investors I've seen in real estate, they're doing that as the market changes and also their season of life changes into going more of a retirement mode. All right, now let's end this with a side-by-side comparison on here. Now I'm gonna put 3 on the screen here, the current portfolio and scenarios number 2 and 3. Scenario 1 of selling and doing 1031, the numbers just aren't that good, so I'm not gonna put it on here. But look at this graph up top here. This green one is scenario 3 of max cash flow. This yellow is we sell the duplexes and pay off the other 4 single-family homes, and the blue is the current portfolio. So look at cash flow in year 1. It's such a bigger jump when we're looking at scenario number 3, and look at the long-term growth on there. So this is a great way to compare everything. We're seeing return equity all about the same. The biggest factor we're seeing is the amount of properties, which equals, headache, risk, and liability, along with some potential upside with cash flow today. As is $80,000 with 8 rentals. Scenario 2 is 6 rentals with $105,000. Scenario 3 is 6 rentals with $126,000 in cash flow. So what would you do here? Now, a lot of investors, they end up doing some type of blended approach where, hey, they may sell one duplex or both of them and then take some money off the table and go reinvest. So nothing is usually to the extreme or to that, spreadsheet logic of, hey, if this, do everything else. So my recommendation to you out there is really 2 things. Come back and revisit that fundamental program we all have about a paid off rental is best for cash flow. It is not. I can put that equity into a different investment and get you more cash flow. Doesn't mean it's the right thing to do, but it's an option that you have to understand. The second, if you have rental properties, go out there and do a current analysis on not your cash on cash, but what is your cash on equity? How much cash flow is that equity in your rental properties generating for you? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Is paying off rental properties a poor move for maximizing your cash flow? But most importantly, if you know what to do with your portfolio, put your situation in the comments below. And who knows, you might get featured in our next episode. So comment, like, and subscribe.